Hey everyone, Eurogamer's Ian Higton here, and I'm back once again in my VR corner with another huge list of PSVR 2 games that have been confirmed to be in development right now. Some are coming soon, some are still a long way off, but all are aiming to be beamed into your eyeballs via the PSVR 2's Fresnel lenses at some point in the future. Now, I did the first of these lists before the PSVR 2 came out, and since then over 60 games have been released for the system. I've removed those old titles from this list and added as many newly announced games as I could find to bring the number of upcoming releases and PSVR to PSVR 2 upgrades as of April 2023 to a grand total of 93. Wow, that's a lot of games. I better get started. Take it away, me. Ancient Dungeon VR is an absolutely cracking roguelite dungeon crawler with a Minecraft-style aesthetic that works incredibly well in VR. I played the demo of this on the Quest a year or so ago and I thought it was great, so I can't wait to see it on PSVR 2. There's no set release date yet, but the developer Eric Thullen has tweeted that he's working on it right now, which is an absolute rogue delight.
We can't stop it, but there is a plan.
Announced for PSVR 2 last month and based on author Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, Journey to Foundation casts you as a galactic spy master called Agent Ward, who is sent to infiltrate a group of defectors that are hiding out on the edge of the Galactic Empire. This one looks pretty stunning, and it also looks like you'll be able to use stealth, climbing, diplomacy, and of course, an assortment of tools and weapons to achieve your goals. Expect this journey to start sometime this autumn.
Or help us to reach Foundation.
Jurassic Snap is a peaceful and calm virtual reality photography game which combines the photographical fun of Pokemon Snap with the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park. Except the dinosaurs are way cuter in this game. Meet and interact with dinosaurs, catalogue all the species, and uncover the mysteries surrounding the strange planet of Galise 486b in this cute adventure that's set to come out on PC sometime in 2023, with PSVR 2 to follow shortly afterwards. Take your arachnophobia to new heights in Kill It With Fire VR, and deal with spiders by any means necessary. The VR version of Kill It With Fire means that you have the ultimate freedom to hunt and destroy mankind's most ancient and deadly nemesis, but unfortunately, even though the game just launched on PC and Quest, this one won't be crawling onto the PSVR 2 until later this year. Fans of first-person sci-fi physics-based adventure games should keep Lonn VR on their radar, as it's due to come to PSVR 2 sometime after the headset releases. I've not had a chance to play this one on PC VR yet, but the blurb on Steam and the accompanying trailer seems to suggest a game in the vein of Boneworks and Bone Labs, so that means you can climb pretty much anything you want, hit enemies with pretty much anything you want, and approach problems in pretty much any way you want. So I pretty much want to play this one right now. Lo-fi here is a cyberpunk fan's dream come true. It's an incredibly moody, super immersive, retro-futuristic detective game, and I cannot wait to explore every inch of its setting, City Block 303, once the full game releases. Unfortunately though, the game missed its 2022 release date for PC VR, and with no news on a PSVR 2 release date just yet, it might be a while before we can get our Blade Runner roleplay on.
So Churchill's asked me to personally see that he gets it back. I normally ask my brother, but this needs a surgeon, not a butcher.
And now for the fun stuff.
Epic gangster drama Peaky Blinders: The King's Ransom has been out on the standalone Quest and Pico headsets for a couple of months now, and while there's no news of a PSVR 2 release date yet, the developers have stated that the PSVR 2 port is part of their roadmap. So, unless someone decides to F with the Peaky Blinders, fans of the TV show should hopefully hear word of a PSVR 2 version soon.
To old friends.
If you love filling your eyes with seamen, Pirates VR Jolly Roger should definitely float your boat. Dodge obstacles and traps, go swimming, and have a rip-roaring pirate-style adventure on a mysterious island somewhere in the Caribbean. This single-player adventure is listed as coming soon on Steam, and the developers have stated that the PSVR 2 port will happen as soon as the game has launched on PC VR.
Something just doesn't add up.
Red Matter 2, the gorgeous sci-fi sequel to Red Matter, has literally just been announced as coming to PSVR 2. According to a tweet by developers Vertical Robot, it will feature a smooth 120 frames per second with no reprojection, foveated rendering, 4K remastered textures, and enhanced lighting. All you really need to know though is that this is a blooming good game, and you should definitely buy it, and that is a red matter of fact. Based on the old point-and-click NES adventure game Shadowgate, Shadowgate VR, The Mines of Mythrok, brings dungeon crawling to life with massive caverns and mystic chambers to explore, devious puzzles to solve, and deadly elemental magic to wield. I've never played this game before, but the Oculus Quest reviews for it are very positive indeed, so I can't wait to get my D&D VRing on when this comes out on PSVR 2. Soul of Kaeru here is still in development, and with a release date on Steam that just says TBA, all we have to go on is this trailer and the blurb text, which says things like Soul of Kaeru is a Metroidvania-inspired VR game, explore a vast and colourful yet dark semi-open world filled with creatures of all sorts, from the small critter to the giant fantastical beasts, and experiment with your VR interactions through first-person cameras during puzzle moments, and control your hero in third person. Huh, sounds like maybe I should start Kaeruing about this one then. Lol. Set to be served up on the PSVR 2 at some point in 2023, Sushi Ben is a VR narrative adventure where you must save a local sushi restaurant from going out of business. Sushi Ben features colourful narrative encounters, beautiful 3D manga panels, and an anime-inspired art style, and you can experience a variety of exhilarating VR activities as you fend off the greedy landlords who are trying to shut down your restaurant. Huh, sounds delicious. Recently announced on the PSN Store for release sometime in 2024, Talking Dogs is an immersive adventure game where you play as a husky called Phil. Separated from your best friend Glenn, it's up to you to explore and uncover the mysteries of the Island of Dreams to find him and bring him home. So, according to the blurb for this third-person VR adventure, this game is actually powered by Unreal Engine 5, but to be honest with you, the gameplay in this trailer looks more than a little rough. Tempus 84 is a first-person shooter VR adventure game where you play as a time travel candidate testing time travel for the first time, who then unexpectedly gets stuck in 1984. Gutted! Find your way back home by repairing your future equipment with items found in the past, in this love letter to time travel fiction. The developers have been tagging PSVR 2 in all of their social media posts for this game, but as for when it will actually come out on Sony's headset, well, only time will tell.
This can't be.
1984. Let's try again, shall we?
Newly announced for PSVR 2 and with no set release date yet, the Foglands here is an atmospheric roguelike adventure where you'll run into the unknown, fight monsters, scavenge loot and try to make it back before you get swallowed by the fog. Punch, throw, shoot and smash your way through each run as you go toe-to-toe with strange, malevolent monsters and vicious, roving factions in this sci-fi western horror story. Looks pretty good to me. What secrets have been buried meters underground? What hides in the guts of the Nazi Riese complex? Keep a sharp mind to unravel the mystery from almost 8 decades ago in the Riese Project. Set for release on PC in 2023, the game's developers have confirmed on Twitter that this action-adventure puzzle game will be ported to PSVR 2 soon after the game is released on PC sometime in 2023. But when exactly, we don't know because the developers only seem to be releasing information about this game in little bitty Reese's pieces.
Know that for us Americans, we dared send 2 of our sons into the unknown. Sons who lay down their lives for our most...
Wanderer is a gorgeous-looking escape room-style adventure game that tasks you as a reluctant time traveller that has to go back in time to change the course of history. I played this one on PC and was blown away by the visuals, even though the game had its fair share of bugs at the time. There's no set date for the release of the PSVR 2 version yet, or whether or not owners of the game on PSVR will get a free upgrade, so we'll have to wonder about those outcomes for a little while longer. Windlands 2 came out on the original PSVR in 2021, so it's taken a while for the developers to confirm a port for the PSVR 2, but confirm they finally have, so expect to be grappling and swinging your way through this fantasy action-adventure game at some point in the future. There's no news on whether or not the PS4 to PS5 upgrade will be free yet though, so owners of the PS4 version will have to live on a swing and a prayer for a little bit longer.
Swing. Dance. Skate.
District M is a VR skater game that combines the addictive loop of a rhythm VR game with the madness of a third-person platformer in a stylized, festive world. So far, there's no release date for the rollout of District M VR, although there is a playable demo available right now on the Quest's App Lab. The developers have stated that it will be available at some point on the PSVR 2 though, and to back that fact up, they even tweeted out a video of PlayStation's Shuei Yoshida having a go on the game. Inspired by early arcade classics, Dropship Commander sees you take control of a dropship and try to navigate it through a variety of hostile environments, before successfully landing on drop pads spread throughout each location. Since my last PSVR 2 list, the flat PS5 version of this game has been released, so the PSVR 2 update for that build must be dropshipping soon. Prepare to get sweaty in your headset with Rezzil Player, a VR sports trainer that's coming to the PSVR 2 soon. allegedly. Rezzil Player is already out on PC VR, and it features an ever-growing collection of sports training games that will improve your performance and reaction times across a wide range of sports. With mini-games including football, goalkeeping, basketball, and reaction training, if you like to work out in VR, you should definitely keep your eyes out for Rezzil Player. Experience the thrill of aerial combat like never before with Aces of Thunder, the upcoming VR game made specifically with the capabilities of PSVR 2 in mind. With different competitive online game modes available, such as team versus team and single duels, you'll be able to test your skills against other virtual pilots in intense aerial battles. There's no set release date yet, but with no sign of another Ace Combat PSVR game on the horizon, if you want a realistic dogfighting VR game, Aces of Thunder should be kept firmly in your sights. The recent Steam reviews for Project Wingman have been overwhelmingly positive, so get ready to take to the skies in this adrenaline-fueled single-player flight action game. This game is allegedly scheduled for release during the PSVR 2's launch window, which is like right now, so you better start warming up your HOTAS sticks before it's too late. Meow! I'm a plane. Fly model aeroplanes in RC Airplane Challenge, an arcade-styled flight sim with simplistic graphics and gameplay. Fly with up to 32 other players in online gameplay, or go solo in 5 game modes, which include free flight, bomb drop, rings, balloon pop, and time trial. This budget release is already available on PSVR, and a flat PS5 version just released, so the PSVR 2 update shouldn't be too far away. Ultra Wings 2 is of course the sequel to the excellent Ultra Wings, a game that I very much enjoyed playing on PSVR 1. The mostly positive reviews on Steam show that this follow-up isn't just a flight of fancy for the developers, and so if the thought of an arcade-style flight sim in the vein of Pilot Wings floats your boat, or should that be flies your plane, Ultra Wings 2 should be on your wish list.
Welcome back to Ultra Wings, pilot.
Grimlord is a dark fantasy action RPG that's due out on PSVR 2 sometime before the end of this year, and it looks to combine realistic sword fighting with fantasy magic. Basically, it's blade and sorcery then, except for you're hitting skeletons rather than realistic looking people, so hopefully you won't feel like an absolute monster for playing it. Hellish Quart is a physics-based, realistic 3D sword dueling game set in the 17th century. Currently on Steam, it features an arcade mode, survival mode, duel versus AI, wooden weapon sparring, and a local multiplayer mode, with an optional VR mode that plays out in third-person perspective. Inspired by games like Bushido Blade, the developers of Hellish Quart have stated that it will be ported to consoles and PSVR 2 once it leaves early access on PC. Hellssplit Arena is an oldie but a goodie on Steam. It's been out since 2019 and the reviews for it are overwhelmingly positive. So if you're in the mood for a VR slasher set in a dark fantasy world with gruesome and realistic combat, this one will be for you. From the creators of Sirento VR and the publishers behind Arizona Sunshine comes the physics-defying first-person action game Hellsweeper VR, which is coming soon to PSVR 2. As you traverse the different dimensions, you'll gain mastery of a wide range of weapons and elemental magic, so prepare for an intense VR experience in a world where earthly physics do not exist and gravity-defying movements become your new reality. Alchemy meets hack-and-slash action in Mixture, according to its blog post on the Quest website, but that's not the only interesting thing about this game. Although you play it solo, you'll simultaneously control two unique characters, an alchemist and an exiled knight. Sola the Knight is a third-person character who wields a scythe, so I presume you'll control them with the thumbsticks of your motion controller, while Sephiros, the alchemist, can mix potions to throw at their enemies in first-person VR. Sounds interesting, and also maybe a bit like a violent moss? I guess we'll find out when this one releases. Samurai Slaughterhouse is a stylish-looking VR samurai stealth game that takes place in a vast physics-based sandbox, and according to its developers, it features volumetric blood effects which some may consider extreme. So that's me sold on it then. Alright, onto the horror section now, and what better game to kick this part off with than a game that utilises the tired trope of a mental asylum to base its action in. Oh, wait, no, that's not a good thing. That's actually Bobbins, isn't it? Affected the Asylum is the sequel to Affected the Manor, which was a forgettable but relatively scary haunted house simulator that sold for a budget price. Let's hope then that the Asylum is similarly priced. Survios, the developers of such excellent VR games as Creed, Raw Data and Sprint Vector, is back with an upcoming intense single-player action horror game set in the Alien universe. And apart from the fact that it is confirmed for PSVR 2, that's basically all we know about it at the moment, which is why I've just shown this picture and not a trailer, because there isn't one. Bad Dreams is a VR horror game with immersive gameplay where you need to do things like cover your face when you come across something scary in order to keep from losing your sanity. Fight, run, jump, wipe your eyes and cover your ears, all while avoiding the game's traps and puzzles. That sounds kinda weird, but the early access version on Steam does have positive reviews, and the developer's website confirms a PSVR 2 port is in the works, so this kind of thing might actually work really well considering the PSVR 2's eye tracking and headset haptics.
Who we gonna call? You.
Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord is a single to 4-player cooperative ghost hunting game set in a spooky version of San Francisco. There's plenty of ghost-busting action in this trailer here, but as it's all quest gameplay, the graphics on show look rather basic, and honestly, the gameplay does look a little bit rubbish too. So will the PSVR 2 version end up being any good? Only Slime will tell.
We're gonna need a bigger trap.
Ghostbusters, Rise of the Ghost Lord.
It's time to head back to Mr. Peterson's creepy house in Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue, but this time you'll be able to burglarize it in VR. Avoid the neighbour at all costs as you, taking on the role of 6 little neighbourhood children, have to confront your fears and rescue your imprisoned pal from their basement prison. I found the flat versions of these games to be rather frustrating and I struggled to get into them, so here's hoping the extra immersion from VR will convince me to say hello to it rather than goodbye. Madison, Madison, Madison. The flat version started off so well, but it soon descended into a crappy collage of predictable jump scares, obtuse puzzles, and incredibly annoying inventory management. The pancake gameplay might not be that fun then, but you can guarantee that its scares, at least, will be absolutely brutal in VR.
The attic.
One of the worst games that I played last year, Do Not Open, was set to have a PSVR 2 version, but that recently got canned, and instead, the developers are now working on a game called Overdark, which is described as a Do Not Open story. There's no release date for this one yet, but to be honest with you, I'm not overly excited about the thought of playing this one. From the looks of this trailer, a stay in Propagation's Paradise Hotel looks anything but paradise. From the creators of the free-to-play and very highly reviewed PC VR game Propagation VR, Paradise Hotel is a brand new spin-off of the series set to release in spring 2023, and it's sure to get your adrenaline pumping as you explore dark environments, experience terrifying encounters, use your tools and wits to progress, and gather resources to survive in this intense VR survival horror adventure. Considering the original free game is so highly thought of, Propagation's Paradise Hotel should be on the wish list of any self-respecting VR horror fan.
Guess you, me.
PSVR 2 functionality for the Resident Evil 4 remake was briefly teased when the game was first announced, and since then Capcom has gone scarily quiet about what PSVR 2 will actually bring to the game. Will the full experience be playable in VR, or will we just get a half-assed VR minigame? Or worse, nothing at all now? I'll let you know when I know. Well, this was unexpected. A Stranger Things VR game developed by Tenderclaws and published by Netflix? Where are we? In the Upside Down or something? So far, we've only had a brief teaser trailer for the game, but allegedly you play as Vecna, the big bad from Season 4, and rather disappointingly, not the stoner guy who makes pizzas for a living. According to the trailer blurb, in the game you'll become an explorer of unknown realities as you form the hive mind and tame the void, whatever that means. Oh, and you'll also invade minds and conjure nightmares in your quest to enact revenge on Eleven and Hawkins. So maybe it's like a Freddy Krueger simulator or something? I don't know. Whatever it is though, I'm interested. I had an awesome time with the Exorcist Legion on the original PSVR, so I can't wait until my PSVR 2 library possesses its sequel, the Exorcist Legion VR Sin. The Sin in the title isn't just a nod to the game's Catholicism-themed horror though. Sin also stands for safety in numbers, because this one can also be played in 2-player co-op.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
Reviews of the Twilight Zone VR on the Quest store seem to be a bit of a mixed bag. Sure, this 3-story mixed reality VR game feels authentically Twilight Zone-y and scary, but many users criticised its short length, frustrating stealth gameplay, and aging VR mechanics. Maybe this one is for fans of the show only then.
Come join us in the Twilight Zone.
Wandering in Space came out this year on PSVR, but I've never played nor heard of it before, which is strange seeing as it's a sci-fi zombie shooter that has some very positive user reviews. According to Steam, it's a single-player roguelike horror FPS, so fingers crossed that means it's a bit like The Persistence, which was a single-player roguelike horror FPS game for the PSVR that I absolutely loved. In Bloody Hell Hotel, you play as a vampire who wakes up from a coma only to find their once grand estate is now in ruins. So it's up to you to turn it into a prosperous hotel by foraging, farming, crafting, and fighting your way through monster-infested dungeons to find resources that you can use to restore your mansion and turn it into a thriving business. Get a taste of prison life with Prison Simulator VR. Become a prison guard and deal with dangerous convicts. Will you become the best guard in history, or will you turn into the worst scumbag this prison has ever seen? According to the developers of this prison management simulator in a Reddit AMA, this game is due to come out on the PSVR 2 at some point in the future. So I guess we'll find out what type of people we are once that happens.
I became a fisherman, following my father's plan.
On May the 11th, you'll be able to embark on a new mind-bending adventure in another Fisherman's Tale, the sequel to the award-winning A Fisherman's Tale. Immerse yourself in poetic storytelling as you solve puzzles using your own body, detach and control your limbs, and find new attachments to progress. Are we sure this is poetic storytelling, though, and not just some kind of brutal body horror game?
Whether be ugly or fine.
The reimagined version of classic text-adventure game Colossal Cave is already playable in VR on the Quest 2, but developers Cygnus Entertainment have now confirmed that a PSVR 2 version is in the works for release sometime in 2023. I played the flat version and bounced off it quite hard, so here's hoping VR makes the experience a bit more interesting.
Colossal Cave.
And then stepping onwards into the beyond.
It's puzzle games time now, and I'm already starting with a bit of a head-scratcher because the footage we're showing of Engram here technically doesn't exist. This is actually a tech demo for a game called The Vanishing Act that Maze Theory announced a couple of years ago, but it is now called Engram. How much of the gameplay has changed since this video was released is yet to be seen, but the premise sounds interesting as it's supposedly a game that will allow players to experience memories and explore the human mind in a new way. Ooh, new, mysterious. It feels like Firmament, the narrative puzzle adventure game from people that brought us Myst, has been in development for ages, and that's because it has. It originally got kickstarted back in 2019. Firmament on PSVR 2 does finally have a release date of May the 18th though, and this game is specifically designed with VR in mind, so expect beautiful art design, a mysterious storyline, and the type of inventive and original puzzles that you've come to know and expect from its developers, Cyan. Would you like to become an ethereal Shiba Inu dog, capable of commanding massive crowds as they move past obstacles, enemies, and puzzles in a Lemmings-esque game? Of course you would, because that sounds amazing. And in Humanity, you can do exactly that. But best of all, this one is set to be a PS Plus game for May, so if you're a subscriber to that, you'll get this one for free. Oh, the humanity!
Do you realize what is in front of you? Hundreds of years of suffering.
Project Louisiana The Bounds VR is supposedly a horror point-and-click puzzle game that's inspired by games like Resident Evil or Silent Hill. There's not much info out about it, apart from this early teaser trailer though, and to be honest with you, it all looks a bit low-budget jank to me, so I wouldn't get too excited about this one just yet. The VR Guy Deluxe, which wisely changed its name a little while back, is a hilarious single-player first-person puzzle game, where players have to find their way out of the dreams of the titular The Guy using objects and tools that they'll obtain during The Guy's immersive snoozes. The PSVR 2 version of the Guy VR Deluxe was announced by the game's developer in a Reddit post a month or so ago, and while we don't know what extras the upgrade may bring in terms of haptics and visuals, etc, thanks to a question from a curious commenter, we do know that the developer is hoping to release this as a free upgrade for owners of the original game, which is basically as close to a confirmation of a free upgrade as we can get for this one at the moment.
I did it! I've passed basic training and I'm now officially a Fusilier of the 8th Regiment.
Coming from the minds of some of the developers of Fable, Tin Hearts is a deeply emotional story spanning generations and dimensions that's masterfully woven into the fabric of a puzzle-filled world. Guide a troop of tin soldiers through a magical world in this immersive puzzle adventure game that allows you to manipulate time and use a variety of whimsical and inventive contraptions to bounce, shoot and glide them towards their goal. Sounds a bit like Lemmings then. While the flat screen version of this game is out right now, we're going to have to wait until the summer for the PSVR 2 update.
There's a place for you too, so I hope you'll join me here. I can't wait to show you more.
Gran Turismo meets Wipeout meets StarCraft meets Monopoly? Welcome to 22 Racing Series and its real-time strategy racing, which can be played in both flat screen and VR. The early access version of this bizarre genre-mashing racing game is getting mixed reviews on Steam right now, but its website states that a PS5 version is in the works for a Q4 release this year. After seeing the bad reviews on Steam, I'm skeptical that it will hit that date, but I guess we'll see. As an Oculus-exclusive game since 2019, gamers had almost given up on the idea of Beat Saber ever coming to the PSVR 2, but during a CES 2023 keynote, we finally got the incredibly good news that Beat Saber was indeed coming to PSVR 2. While there's no information about the release date yet, or whether or not it will be a free upgrade for owners of the PSVR original, we do at least now have confirmation that, at some point in the future, PSVR 2 owners will be able to experience Beat Saber's amazing Jedi Conducting an Orchestra Action 2. Alvo's fast-paced, COD-like PvP modes are incredibly fun to run and gun your way around, and it's really easy to pick up and get into, so if the PSVR 2 release ends up being a better-looking port of the Quest 2 version that added new maps, a co-op zombie mode, and cross-play lobbies to the original base game, we'll all be in for a treat when this one eventually comes out. One thing we don't know yet though is whether or not the PSVR 2 version will come as a free upgrade to owners of the original game. Here's hoping. Here's a unique idea for a VR shooter. Black Trail is a single-player FPS set during the time of the Old West, and you swap between two protagonists, a bounty hunter and a native warrior, as their stories intertwine. It's not out yet, so there's no sign on whether or not it's actually decent, but I do like the idea of firing historical weapons in VR for once. In Blood Trail, you play as Wendigo, a hard-hearted contract killer motivated only by a paycheck. With a trusted arsenal at the ready, you are tasked with annihilating a fanatical cult in what the Steam page calls the most violent game in VR, with the most realistic gore system ever. Over on their Discord, the developers have stated that they'll be bringing the game to PSVR 2 once the PC version is fully released, and with positive reviews on Steam at the moment, that unspecified wait is going to feel like a bloody long time. Crossfire Sierra Squad is yet another newly announced PSVR 2 game, and it's one that looks right up my street. A modern milsim with gorgeous graphics, heightened realism, and the option to play in 4-player co-op. There's no sign of a release date though, and all we have to go on really is this trailer, so there's a chance it could end up being pap. But I'm excited for this one nevertheless. D-Day Enhanced is the upcoming PSVR 2 version of janky but fun PSVR World War II multiplayer shooter Honor and Duty, which is set to take advantage of the new features that the PSVR 2 brings. There's no release date for this one yet, but the developers Strange Games Studios have stated that, while it will be a free upgrade for owners of the original PS4 version, crossplay with PS4 players will not be feasible due mainly to changes in the maps and the Battle Royale mode that the PSVR 1 wouldn't be able to handle. Announced for PSVR 2 during the Perp Games PSVR 2 showcase, Desperate Vladivostok is a bullet hell VR action game filled with furious fights and adrenaline-induced shootouts, all accompanied by dynamic music. I don't know much about this game, but the trailer here features almost no player movement at all, so I'm guessing it's just a shooting gallery game? If that is the case, then I honestly won't be that desperate to play it.
Done. Looks like that's all. Now it's your turn.
Distortion VR here has a similar cyberpunk aesthetic to lo-fi, so you might think that this game could be a worthy contender for best Blade Runner style VR game. I certainly did, but that was before I checked the Steam reviews, which include a lot of thumbs downs and criticisms like repetitive, clunky, and just not fun. I'm sure things can change for it over time, but honestly, I think I'll probably hold out for lo-fi. Drunk or Dead 2 features guns, gore, and gratuitous drinking, because it turns out the only thing keeping you from shambling around as a zombie is you shambling around because you're blackout drunk. You see, in this game, alcohol keeps you human, so you better get used to fighting with a shotgun in one hand and shotgunning a drink in the other. There's no news on a PSVR 2 release date yet, and while there is a demo on Steam, it's not out there yet either. So chances are we'll have to wait until after the PC release happens before we can down this one in one.
Raven here. You want to be a contractor? According to your reputation, you have the right skills for the job.
Firewall Ultra is the next evolution in the Firewall franchise that promises to take advantage of all the new features that the PSVR 2 has to offer, like eye tracking, which will enable you to intuitively swap weapons and bring up HUD indicators using just the power of your eyes. Best of all though, Firewall Ultra will also run on dedicated servers this time around, so the terrible game-ruining lobby system of the original game should now be a thing of the past.
Are you ready?
One thing that the original PSVR missed out on was the realistic milsim style game that popped up on quite a lot of other headsets. Hello to the excellent Onward especially. In Ghosts of Tabor or whatever, you can go on solo missions or with squads of up to 4, plan your attack, assemble weapons, reload guns realistically, and then get shot in the face as soon as you blunder out into the open like a noob who's never had any military training in their life. Or at least that's how I'll be playing it anyway.
You're on your own.
Hubris came out on the PC to a mixed reception, as even though it looks beautiful, it was rather buggy and the gameplay was largely repetitive and basic. There's potential for a great game here though, if the devs can add some extra polish to the PSVR 2 version before launch, because you can move, climb, swim and jump freely around Hubris's sci-fi world, all while fighting humans, aliens and mechanized enemies with weapons that you've crafted yourself.
Are you with me?
Hyperstacks isn't just a shooter, it's also an action, puzzle, platformer, sandbox VR game too, so it's covering a lot of genre-specific bases there. The graphics look simplistic but nice and colourful, so they should translate into a really good-looking VR experience. But we'll have to wait and see about the gameplay, as it's not out on any platform until Q1 2023 at the earliest.
Hyperstacks, coming soon.
Into the Darkness is an upcoming physics-based VR action-adventure game that looks rather similar to one of my favourite PC VR games, Boneworks. Set in a dystopian sci-fi future, Into the Darkness will feature combat, traversal, object interaction and underwater swimming, and according to its developer, it is due out on PC VR in late 2023, with PSVR 2 and Quest versions to follow. I'm quite excited for Synapse as it comes from the developers behind two great VR titles, Fract and Phantom Covert Ops. Fight through a hostile mindscape in this immersive next-gen experience, created exclusively for PSVR 2. Turn the mind into a battlefield and unleash your inner anti-hero with brutal firepower in one hand and surging telekinesis in the other. This gameplay has got something surging in me, that's for sure, but it's definitely not telekinesis. The existence of Solaris Off-World Combat 2 was accidentally leaked by Sony a few months back, so there's still no official gameplay out for it yet, but I loved the laser tag vibes of the original when I played it. Here's hoping the lobbies don't die out as fast as they did on the PSVR 1 though, when this sequel eventually launches. When Vail VR launched into early access on Steam, it had a lot of hype behind it, thanks to its emphasis on tactical gunplay, high-caliber combat, and collaborative teamwork. Sadly, since then, reviews of this 5v5 tactical shooter game have become rather negative, due to the simple fact that nobody is actually playing it anymore. While there is a PSVR 2 port of Vail VR on the roadmap, this won't be happening until the PC version is complete, so don't hold your breath for this one quite yet.
Vail. Early access available now on Steam.
Volcanic Core definitely doesn't have the flashiest graphics going, but it does remind me of Tron mixed with the PSVR 1 launch title Battlezone, which I really enjoyed, so maybe it'll be good. We won't know for definite until it gets released in 2023 though, so watch this space. Wolf and Pigs Out for Vengeance is a fresh take on the classic fable The Three Little Pigs. Well, okay, it's not that fresh because it's been out on PC VR since 2020, but it's also on its way to PSVR 2 at some point in 2023. There's guns to shoot and grapple hook swinging action to be had, so hopefully this one will blow your house down with its gameplay rather than just simply blowing. In X8, you play as heroes from different FPS franchises that find themselves crossing paths in the game engine that all their games run on. Each hero can access 3 abilities, Instant, Basic and Ultimate, and each character has hero-specific items offering situational advantages. Additionally, heroes can access an extensive arsenal of weapons, armour and items unique to their character. With up to 5v5 players in multiplayer and up to 16 rounds, there could be a lot to like about this competitive shooter. Made by the same developer as Wolf and Pigs and also due out sometime in 2023, Lucky Fish Bread puts you in the shoes of a star roadside stall owner who uses their specialty carp cakes to attract customers. Lucky you! Hopefully though, it's not as carp as it looks in this trailer. Everyone's favourite social deduction game Among Us has been a smash hit on PC VR and Quest since it launched in 2022, and it won't be long until you'll be able to cruelly and unfairly accuse your friends of murder and then push them out of an airlock on PSVR 2. If you've ever played the original version and felt how tense that can be, just wait until you're able to look your friends in the eyes while you extinguish their lives. Black Hole Pool has just been announced on the PSN store, and if you love hitting balls with a length of wood, this will definitely be one to keep an eye on, as the Quest version has been really well received. With Black Hole Pool, you'll be able to pop balls against AI or in online multiplayer on the PSVR 2 sometime soon. A demo for Blacktop Hoops here is available on the Quest's App Lab already, and the reviews for this multiplayer VR basketball game are incredibly positive. So if you fancy dribbling inside your PSVR 2 headset, Blacktop Hoops with its realistic basketball mechanics should scratch the itch on your bouncing balls. Experience Sega's beloved arcade and console classic reimagined for virtual reality and online gameplay in Sea Smash VRS, a game which fuses the best of racket sports with awesome music and intuitive controls. Sea Smash VRS launches on PSVR 2 on the 23rd of June, but if you can't wait that long to get your Smash on, well, there's a free demo out on the PlayStation Store right now.
Welcome to Sea Smash VRS.
Golf Plus is a very successful Quest golfing game that calls itself the ultimate VR golf experience. There's multiplayer, single player, practice areas, and a bunch of courses to smack your little balls around, so plenty for golf fans to get on with. I, on the other hand, find golf games a bit dull, so I won't be putting this one at the top of my wish list. Get it? Putting? 'Cause it's golf? Nice. Much like Rocket League being football but with cars, Knock is football but with a bow and arrows. Skate and fly around a pitch while using a bow and arrow to blast the ball into the back of the other team's net. Compete in multiplayer ranked matches or play casual custom games with your friends in this PSVR 2 port of one of the most popular games on the Quest. There's no release date yet other than coming soon, but honestly, I cannot wait to try it out. The PSVR 2 currently has a severe lack of fishing games, but all that may change at some point in the future thanks to the developers of Real VR Fishing. According to the devs, they are trying to port this one to the PSVR 2 but are having difficulty updating it for Sony's headset at the moment, so while this game is technically in development right now, it could also end up being one that got away. Stride is a high-octane parkour adventure set in a futuristic metropolis where you need to throw yourself, stylishly, from rooftop to rooftop in order to avoid being shot in the face. If you liked Mirror's Edge and thought to yourself, that would be cool to play in VR, then this one should be for you. Oh, and there's multiplayer in it too, which is nice. I've never played VR Skater before, but it's been out on Steam Early Access since April 2021, and it has very positive reviews. So if you fancy a bit of virtual Tony Hawking, you shouldn't get skate bored of this one in a hurry. A recently released trailer for the PSVR 2 version of Walkabout Mini Golf has confirmed that the ultimate VR mini golf experience will be coming to the headset on May the 11th. Walkabout Mini Golf has multiple easy and hard mode courses to play on in both single and multiplayer modes, and there will even be more available as DLC when the game launches. Walkabout VR Mini Golf has been received spectacularly well on the Quest, so make sure to putt this one on your wish list. Wait, no, I've already made a putting golf.
It will take your mind.
Sink into an all-new world of danger, survival, and mystery in Behemoth, an upcoming VR game that seems to be heavily inspired by Shadow of the Colossus. There's no proper gameplay out for this game yet, just this cinematic trailer, but it is being developed by creators of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, so expect this to be full of top-quality VR shenanigans. I really bounced off Green Hell VR when I covered it for VR Corner. I found it super frustrating and rather dull. But if you're into super hardcore survival games and you have a lot of patience, you won't find one as rich in detail or as brutal as this.
Work hard in order to succeed in life.
Would you like to hunt, survive, build, and lead in the harsh world of the Middle Ages? Well, not if it's in real life, I wouldn't. That sounds rubbish. But in VR, it sounds pretty awesome. Medieval Dynasty is already out in flat on Steam, and it's proving to be very popular. But a standalone VR version is in the works, and it's supposed to be a genre mix of Green Hell and A Township Tale, which sounds cool, I guess.
Now I am ready to build and grow a village.
Neolithic Dawn is a primitive survival game built from the ground up for virtual reality that features advanced physics-based interactions, dynamic seasons and weather, an open-ended crafting system, and a unique living world where time only moves forward. Which is how time normally works, so I'm not sure why that's boast-worthy, but hey-ho. There's no news on a release date for this one yet, but if you enjoy games like Green Hell VR, this one might be worth a look-see.
Welcome to Nevermont, the most calm and peaceful city. Well, at least it was one day. Now it's a total mess here.
Requisition VR is a single to 4-player co-op zombie survival sim that is currently in early access on Steam. The game has received mostly positive reviews since its release in October, with a lot of praise being put on its unique crafting mechanics. Complaints about jank and thin content seem to be a bit harsh considering it's still in early access at the moment, so here's hoping the full release on PSVR 2 will be polished and full of Zeds to Deads.
Welcome to Nevermont, the most dangerous and zombiest city.
Serve 1v3, aka Survive, is a zombie survival game which you can play in single-player mode or co-op with up to 4 players. Players get to wield a bunch of weapons such as rifles, machine guns, snipers, shotguns, and much more to take down the hostiles across various game modes, including an 18-hour story mode. Serve 1v3 is already out on PSVR, but the PSVR 2 port has been confirmed by its developers, and it will feature cross-platform multiplayer. There's no word on cross-buy for owners of the PSVR version yet, though. Survival Nation is an open-world online RPG where you need to take on the role of a zombie apocalypse survivor. This game has already come out on Steam and Pico to mostly positive reviews, and according to the developer's website, you can expect to be hunting, fishing, gathering, and fighting your way to survival on PSVR 2 sometime in 2023. And that is that. Still no Half-Life Alyx or Astrobot 2 though, but we live in hope, I guess. Thanks to PSVR Without Parole, Polish Pool VR, and Jordan H3P on Reddit, who helped confirm a large number of the games on this list. I've included links to their respective channels' stroke lists in the description of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and if you do spot any other PSVR 2 announcements in the future, or ones that I've missed, do let me know in the comments below so that I can add them into the next one of these videos that I do. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games and VR coverage every Sunday. Goodbye.